The heat is on. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Charity disaster. Reputational disaster. Professional disaster. Financial disaster. It's all coming together.
At war over money. They need $10 million now.
Charles has made it very clear that he wants Harry back. You know, we saw it in Harry's book. Don't make my life a misery, but don't make my final years a misery, boys. Charles's dearest wish is to be reconciled with his son.
She made some very, very poor strategic errors, thinking she could profit from the title without any consequence, without paying the dues. And of course, in the end, I have no doubt there'll come a day when they both lose their titles, and their children too, because they will just be forced to go too far for their own survival, and at that moment, the same will happen to them as what's happened to Prince Andrew.
Tom Bower has spent the better part of a decade studying this marriage, and not long ago, he put it about as plainly as a biographer ever puts anything. As long as Harry stays married to Meghan, Bower said, the idea of the two of them moving their life to Britain is, in his words, completely untenable. Not difficult, not unlikely, untenable. And sitting underneath that one cold word is a figure that explains the whole standoff.
Of course, there are constant bust-ups, I guess is the point that I'm making. And of course, there is tension over Harry's desire to spend time in the United Kingdom, but Meghan knows she needs to come back too. She's going to have to turn back on her word, and that is for financial reasons.
By Bower's own estimate, the life the Sussexes have built for themselves in California costs somewhere between $3 and $6 million a year just to keep the lights on. That is the number the rest of this story keeps circling back to.
They need $3 million just to survive each year, just to meet their minimum security needs. So I really think we can't frame this in any other way other than a pay for play, a desperate, grab for cash. And I think that just comes down to it, that they really need the bucks.
So here's the picture the credible people are now painting, and I want you to hold it in your head for the next few minutes. Harry, by every account, wants to come home. Bower describes a man who is frustrated, who feels the lack of any real standing in Britain and a shrinking one in America. And Meghan, by every account, does not want to set foot back on that island. One of them is pulling toward London, the other is anchored to Montecito, and the thing standing in the doorway between them is not the palace, and it is not King Charles.
Harry and Meghan want to destroy. They might want to be there, but they want to destroy. That's why they're going ahead, that's why they're putting on smiley faces, that's why they're doing all sorts of things, but I don't believe in what they want to do at all. I think they're crooks and nasty people to try and win.
According to the people who have studied this couple longest, the thing in the doorway is the marriage itself. Now that is a heavy claim, and I am not going to ask you to take it on one man's word, because the curious part is not that Tom Bower said it. The curious part is who else is standing at the same door, saying very nearly the same thing. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you will see why a biographer who has been warning about this since before the wedding is suddenly being proved right.
It's very interesting, which I was surprised by, and comes up early in the Betrayal book, is when a very, very famous member of the British establishment, really a household name, is asked by the Queen to explain to Meghan before the wedding what life will be like. And that person goes to visit her every 3 or 4 weeks in Kensington Palace, and after the third and fourth visit tells the Queen that Meghan has absolutely no intention of staying in Britain after the wedding, and there's a lot of trouble ahead. Of course, it was too late to do anything, but they saw it long before that glorious day in June. And I'm afraid that that is her problem. She is very calculating and very ruthless and very self-promoting, but she's taken on more in the end than she can chew.
And now Harry has suddenly woken up and gone, oh, actually, yeah, you've got to have this stuff called money. It's this folded paper that's in your trousers, and that's how you get stuff. And I didn't really know that until I left England and stopped being a member of the royal family. So Meghan's told me I need to get more of this folding paper, which has got Dad's face on it. And we could also get some of the American paper, which is green, and that's got like a big S on it with lines down the middle. Anyhow, Meghan said she wants more of this colourful paper, and that we're we're running out of the colourful folding paper that's in your trousers. Yeah.
Let's start with the money, because nearly everything in this story runs downhill from it. Harry is not a poor man on paper, and we should be honest about that up front. When he turned 30 back in 2014, he came into roughly £10 million left to him from his mother's estate. And on his 40th birthday, in September 2024, he received a further sum, reported at around £8 million, from a trust the late Queen Mother had quietly set up years ago for her great-grandchildren.
He hasn't got a clue. It's a catastrophe. They need $10 million now. Because you know as well as I do, folks, that you've got to have a buffer. You cannot be down to your last dollar. And yes, there are some savings. There's a little bit of money from the books fair. He got 20 million for that. There is the inheritance from Diana and from the Queen Mother, who is the mother of the late Queen Elizabeth. He got millions when he turned 30.
So this is a man who walked into his California life with real inheritance behind him. But here's what those headlines about inheritances always leave out. A lump sum, however large, is a bucket, and a life that costs $6 million a year is a tap that never closes. There is the mortgage on a Montecito estate. There is private security, now that the British state has stopped paying for it.
Harry keeps arguing that they need taxpayer-funded security, and you're sitting back looking at Meghan dripping in gold, posting pictures of her closet, posting pictures of her children, saying, are you not increasing the odds of somebody targeting you by putting your wealth and your children and your home on full display?
Then the staff and the legal bills, which are not a rumor. We know from the courts themselves that Harry's case against the publisher of the Daily Mail saw budgets of roughly £4 million approved for each side. His earlier settlement with the publisher of The Sun was widely reported to run past $10 million. These are not gossip figures. These are numbers a judge signed off on. So when Bauer estimates that the Sussexes need $3 to $6 million a year to stand still, he is not inventing a crisis for a book jacket. He is doing the arithmetic that any of us would do at the kitchen table.
And that's what happens if you marry a guy who's not that bright and who has no discernible talent and whose only value are two things: inherited cash, which he didn't earn, and selling the family secrets. Well, both of those sources of income look like a busted flush, and the cost of their lives is extraordinary. You're looking at $3-4 million a year, easy. $3-4 million, potentially $5 million. The mortgage alone on their Montecito mansion is $500,000. And don't forget, the interest rates are going up. So if they have to negotiate again, if they have to do a new deal, good luck.
Money coming in has to beat money going out, year after year, or the bucket runs dry. And the trouble with their kind of income is that it does not arrive like a wage. There is no steady check on the first of the month. There is a big deal, and then a long, quiet stretch. And then, you hope, another big deal.
When they left the United Kingdom 6 years ago, this was the plan, a sort of failed deal with Netflix, everybody hating you and being a kind of laughingstock and being a social media influencer, basically. Like that, as I recall, was not the plan, right? The plan was this whole new model of service. They were going to show the Queen didn't have any idea about service. They were going to show her how it was done.
The Netflix arrangement was the engine that made the early sums look comfortable, but engines like that need refueling, and the next tank is never guaranteed. A life that costs $6 million a year is not a house you can quietly downsize out of when the offer's thin. It is a treadmill, and somebody has to keep feeding it. And this is where the marriage and the money stop being two separate stories. Because the one place on earth where Meghan genuinely cannot earn the way she wants to earn is Britain, which means the cheapest possible version of their future and the most expensive sit on opposite sides of the Atlantic. Remember that. It matters more than anything in the next chapter.
Sources say that the couple are so unhappy that it resulted in a massive bust-up over their plans this summer. I was the first reporter to reveal the strains in the marriage in Montecito. The mainstream media has been very slow to catch up, but Heat magazine has gone there this week with a front-page cover story revealing the specific argument was about Harry's demands for Meghan to return to the United Kingdom.
Tom Bauer has a phrase for where this marriage has landed, and it has been doing the rounds for weeks. He calls it an unfortunate crossroads. What he means is precise, so let me unpack it the way he laid it out. Harry, he points out, is the fifth in line to the throne and a member of the royal family, which means his idea of ambition was never really about money. He was raised inside an institution where the point of your life was service and status. not a paycheck.
And this insider has said the marriage is strong. This is what they said. They love each other. This isn't about divorce or separation. It's about Meghan pushing Harry to adapt to a world where they can't rely on royal status or inherited wealth forever. What, is Meghan deluded or what? Because Harry is never going to become commercially successful. Because beyond his royal meal ticket, there's nothing.
Meghan came from the other direction entirely. Her ambition, by Bauer's reading, is material, professional, commercial. And the trouble, he argues, is that she now finds herself somewhere she cannot easily earn the way she planned to. Put those two people in one marriage, and for a while the friction stays hidden. The Netflix money flows. The brand looks alive. Everyone smiles for the anniversary post. But take the easy money away, and the two of them are suddenly being pulled by completely different engines. He wants the thing Britain gives him, which is standing. She wants the thing California gives her, which is the chance to build something she controls.
Meghan flipped, and a normal argument turned into a showdown. Tensions are at an all-time high. Now, you'll remember Meghan returned from Geneva, and there was a big song and dance made about the couple's wedding anniversary. I think that was part of the Flood the Zone strategy, which was desperately designed to sort of say, nothing happened, it doesn't matter that only 10 people showed up. But at the same time, perhaps it is because she's even trying to convince herself that things were on track in this relationship.
And before anyone says Tom Bauer simply wants to sell another book, hold on, because that is exactly the moment to slow down. The thing that makes this hard to wave away is not Bauer's opinion of Meghan. It is that he is not the only credible voice standing at this particular door. He is just the loudest. Two other people who have studied this family for years are circling the very same conclusion from completely different angles. And one of them saw it coming before the confetti had even been swept up. That is the part that should make you sit up, not the prediction. The fact that more than one serious person is making it.
I've never seen somebody try so hard to prove that they're not the most unpopular person in the world.
Someone who fled England because she needed her privacy.
Yeah.
Never let us forget that.
Yeah.
I mean, I know, it's absolutely astonishing. And then, of course, the publication of all her very top secret wedding photographs.
Oh, yeah.
To mark the 8th anniversary. That as well, absolutely another invasion of her privacy. I mean, she is literally digging and digging and digging, looking for something to get attention, and probably can't understand why there isn't a huge wave of adoration for her. She's actually puzzled why people don't love her, and that makes it even more interesting.
When he was writing Spare, that's when they were aligned in purpose. They were both trying to put stain on the royal family. They all didn't, Harry and Meghan didn't want to show them any grace. They wanted to completely rag on their life in the UK. But now Harry has turned over, and now he, I believe, is feeling very regretful. And now they're no longer aligned in purpose, and they will continue to clash. This is the beginning of many more arguments. And the question then becomes, how long can they sustain the relationship no longer aligned in purpose?
So if Harry wants to come home, why on earth doesn't he just come home? Because by all the credible accounts, the one person who will not make that journey is his wife. The royal biographer Angela Levin laid this out plainly in her own writing not long ago. Her reading is that Harry and Meghan have, in the last while, turned around and decided they would like a way back into royal life, but strictly on their own terms. In Levin's words, they want roles they can control, not the roles the institution would hand them, the roles they get to design.
And can you describe Harry now compared to the Harry you knew? How would you characterize Harry in 2026?
I think he's a nasty, spiteful liar. Thinks only of himself, terrified of Meghan, and that he wants to get the royal family switched out so he can get switched in and give Meghan the best job ever. I think he wants her to be queen. I think I've told you that before. But with Harry, he's determined that everybody thinks that she is as amazing as he does, but he's got it all wrong.
And that small phrase tells you why the door stays shut. The British monarchy does not really do roles you control. It is the one job on earth defined by the opposite. You take the duties you're given, you stand where you're told to stand, and you do it whether the cameras are kind that week or not. Meghan, by every account, associates Britain with the most frightening and unhappy chapter of her adult life. So you have one partner who sees that island as the place that restores him, and another who sees it as the place that nearly broke her.
The Buckingham Palace plot to reunite Prince Harry and Prince William is going to fail. This story has really divided the royal community.
Think back to the spring. The two of them toured Australia together in April, smiling, holding the line, doing the practiced work of looking like a partnership with one direction. And by all accounts, they can still do that for a weekend when the cameras demand it. But a tour is a performance with a start time and an end time. What Levin and Bauer are describing is the bit that happens after the plane lands back in California, when the show is over and the two of them are left wanting genuinely different lives.
That's the truth. It's always been nothing. Meghan doesn't want to see people who she either no longer finds useful or people she thinks are not going to go along with the grift anymore. And the royals saw right through her most of the time. And once she could get out, she doesn't want to face them. She's a coward in many ways. She doesn't want to have people, especially when she's interacting with Harry, people who know the real Harry, the Harry before Meghan, and her seeing them interact. Like, she wants this control and she wants to always be the victim. And so she has, I think, in many ways concocted this whole, again, crazy scenario where they're under constant threat so that she has this convenient out to actually see the people that she should.
Levin also describes Harry pressing his father to hand over some of his responsibilities. And here I want to be careful and clean, because the king is a man currently receiving treatment, and that deserves plain respect, not speculation. So I will only say what is on the record. Harry, by these accounts, has been asking for a foothold, and the answer so far has been no. Here is my honest read on it. A marriage can survive two people wanting different things. Marriages do that all the time. What it struggles to survive is two people wanting different countries. You cannot meet halfway across an ocean. Somebody has to give up the thing they want most. And so far, by all the reporting, neither of them will.
On one hand, a group of people who are absolutely convinced that King Charles is working behind the scenes via this new Deputy Private Secretary, Theo Rycroft, to try and bring Harry and even Meghan Markle back into the royal fold. The view, Angela, is that they are politically aligned, that King Charles III wants his legacy to be about union, not to be about the divide.
Now for the part that genuinely gives me pause, because it turns this whole story from a snapshot into a prophecy. Long before any of this, the biographer Andrew Loney sat down and told a story about the years right before the wedding.
The feeling generally in Britain is the marriage isn't going to last. Harry will, I'm afraid, still remain with you because his children are there. She kind of got him away from his friends and his relations into another country, and she could control him then, but he was kind of stuck with her.
According to Loney, inside the royal household, the conversation about Meghan was not the fairy tale we were all sold. The talk, he says, was about how unsuitable the match was, and that the whole thing would end in tears. Now, you can take that two ways. You can call it bitter hindsight, the sort of thing people say once a marriage is already in trouble. Or you can sit with the uncomfortable possibility that a room full of people whose entire job is reading other people read this one correctly years ago and were ignored. Make of it what you will, but when the man who said it would end a certain way is watching it slowly end that exact way, you at least have to stop and listen.
And I think that seems to be the feeling here with Harry. He wants to build some bridges. I think his father is keen to reunite with him to see his grandchildren. William clearly is against it. The king is caught between the two brothers, and whatever he does, he's going to upset one of them. And it's a bit of a mess.
And this is where I lose a little patience with the official line. For years, every time the cracks showed, we were handed the same tidy reassurance. They are stronger than ever. They are a united front. Their representatives have flatly denied that the marriage is in trouble, and Meghan herself has said on the record that she believes the two of them are forever. I am not here to call anyone a liar, but there is a difference between what a couple says and what a couple does. And what they have done over these last months is mark 8 years of marriage with a video instead of a moment side by side, while Meghan flew off alone and Harry talked, again, about the country she will not return to. By all accounts, this is not a marriage in flames. It is something quieter and frankly, sadder. It is two people who love each other standing on opposite shores, neither willing to swim across.
But it's interesting that when there have been occasions where the king could have met Harry, and not least in his recent visit to the States, that didn't happen. And I think there's always a suspicion that Harry will leak any encounter they have, and the story will be sold to the newspapers. So it is a bit of a mess. No one wants a dysfunctional family like that, but I'm afraid that is the story of the royal family. They can't seem to get on with each other. All those things are kind of, again, undermined because of attention being focused on people like Harry and Andrew. when, there is so much good that they can do, but which gets ignored. So my experience is, talking to people, they're not anti-monarchy, but they are anti the monarchy abusing its status in order to make money for itself.
So where does a standoff like this actually go? As it happens, we may not have long to wait, because there is a date on the calendar that is about to test every word these biographers have said. This July, Harry is due back on British soil for an Invictus Games event, the one project that is wholly his, and that even his critics struggle to sneer at. And the question hanging over it is not whether he turns up. He will. The question is who, if anyone, stands beside him. Bauer, for his part, does not think the half-in arrangement Harry seems to want is coming. Asked plainly whether Harry could pull off a part-time royal role, his answer was blunt: he does not believe they have a chance. And if the biographers are right about the marriage, then the most likely picture this summer is a quietly painful one.
What happened with the Duke of Windsor is he did every so often come back and see his family, as long as his wife didn't come with him, and that we're going to see more of that. We have a sign that Harry may be able to come back and have security paid for by the taxpayer here, which will make him feel safer.
A man back in the country he misses, doing the work he is proudest of, with the seat beside him empty, and a wife who chose California over a single weekend in England. Here's what I would watch for, and I would write it down somewhere. If Meghan stays away from that event entirely, then everything Bauer and Levin have said stops being a theory and starts being a fact you can see with your own eyes. If she surprises everyone and turns up, then maybe the door is not as shut as they think.
Despite the loved up post on Instagram, we're told the couple are at a standoff over their summer. As well as the Balmoral trip, the plan had been for Meghan to join her husband in the UK in July for a one-year countdown event to the 2027 Invictus Games taking place in Birmingham. However, our source says Meghan has now told Harry to go without her. They add Meghan's bust up with Harry was a big one, and she's digging her heels in. She's told Harry to go to the UK without her, as there was no way she would be joining. She doesn't want to put herself or the kids through the drama.
Either way, July is when the talking stops and the standing begins. And do not expect the answer to come early. These things are managed right up to the last minute. There will be no announcement either way until it is almost impossible to announce anything else, which is rather the point. A statement can be drafted, softened, and timed. A grandstand cannot. On the day, the seats are either full or they are not. And the whole world is looking at exactly the same picture at exactly the same moment. Because you can deny a rumor, you can put out a statement, you can post a sweet little anniversary clip with a cake and a song. What you cannot do is fake a marriage in a grandstand in front of the world's cameras, with one empty chair telling the whole story.
Then you've got the fact that the veterans in Invictus, because it's a special event for injured veterans, military people, served in the army, served in the navy, served in the Air Force, who have either mental health problems or indeed they've lost limbs, other issues, and they compete at the top level of competition. The problem you've got is those veterans are not happy, because Invictus should be about them and their achievements, but it's about Harry and Meghan. So Invictus is a disaster.
And I don't think very long, because you have to look at the fact that Harry is losing out when it comes to his children knowing anything about him and his future or his life that he had in the UK. Their whole lives is going to be spent in America. And Harry will never be able to have his children experience anything that he experienced, Harry, when he was growing up. This I believe is very hurtful to Harry. He is starting to see now that he is missing out and his children are missing out, and that Meghan is controlling everything. And I feel, is feeling very regretful. He is looking at Meghan as someone that is controlling his life completely, despite how he feels. So it's just the beginning for him. It's going to get so much more worse.
So let's bring it back to that one word we started with. When Tom Bauer says the marriage makes a move to Britain untenable, he is not predicting a divorce. And neither am I. Their representatives deny trouble. Meghan says forever, and for all we know, they will quietly prove every biographer wrong. That is genuinely possible. But strip away the tabloid noise about blazing rows and slammed doors, and what is left, sourced, and on the record, is a far simpler and heavier thing. 3 serious people who study this family for a living have looked at the same marriage and reached the same conclusion. Bauer calls it an unfortunate crossroads. Levin says they want a control they were never going to be given. Loney says the warning was there from the start, and the common thread running through all 3 is money meeting geography, a life that costs millions a year that can only be paid for in a country one of them refuses to live in. That is the door marked untenable. And the quiet tragedy of it is that it does not need a villain to stay shut. It just needs 2 people who want different homes and an ocean that will not move. So let me put the question to you, because you watch this family as closely as I do. When that July event comes around, do you think Meghan will be standing beside Harry, or do you think the seat next to him stays empty? Drop your verdict in the comments. I read every single one. And hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who care about these stories. Subscribe as well. There's a lot more coming this week. The next one lands in a few days, and it is all about what Andrew Loney's reporting says was really happening inside the household in those final months before the wedding. You will want to be here for that.